It's a dual teapot carburetors on an aluminum fire spit head. Spitfire head was a barrel popular head back in 38, 37, 36 there. Probably all the way to like 36, 34 maybe through 40, maybe up to 48. Aluminum head. And it's got a radiator. It's all golden. He golded into the top and the bottom of it. And then the horns, he got dual horns instead of the single horn. Put in dual horns instead of the single horn. And that's the oil filter there. And then he just chromed everything he could under there, trying to make it look as sharp as possible. He won several awards with it. One in Reno, quite a few in Chico, Durham, Lakeport, went up to Washington, Oregon, Roseburg, Oregon. He did pretty well almost everywhere he went. He put on the bigger chrome bumper with the extended chrome that comes up higher. Found the extra piece and put it on. They didn't have turn signals back then, so we buy these turn signals that are bullets, and that's the only thing option they have for putting on anything like that. He never did put on the fog lights. He never got to that stage. Just cleaned up all the stuff, all this chrome down here, all that front end chrome. Spent a fortune on it. And inside the upholstery, had a guy up at near the airport do the upholstery. That was like about $4,000 for it. And just carpet as part of the upholstery. Steering wheel, did all he could do to fancy it up. A lot of it was kind of done on the inside part here on the dash. Most of it was already taken care of. It was in pretty decent condition when he got it. It was a estate auction, so it was kept in a real nice garage most of its life. And then, he did the transformation on the motor if you were richer than heck back in the day, you'd do all that stuff to your motor for the drag strip and whatnot. We're trying to get faster times. It's got the pull lever down there, and you just grab the knob, one of those knobs, and you pull it and push in the clutch when you're in third, and it goes to an overdrive fourth, which was a big option back then, the fourth gear. You just push down the clutch and you pull out the handle, and boom, it goes into fourth. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Back in the day. And just the tail lights are extreme. The headlights were off the body, the tail lights were off the body. So it just really made it, bullet style tail lights with and then the chrome on the ends. And you can put little blue dots in, which is super popular. Some say it's illegal. I don't know if it is or isn't. I would highly doubt it. It doesn't harm anything, And then it had tail lamp and then emblems. And just everything you could to chrome it up and put on a brand new exhaust system. Painted, had it painted. The painter spent hours upon end trying to paint it. Get it up looking as good as he could. Then the trunks were ridiculously large. They had a bunch of room. Well, almost a third of the car was trunk. About a little more. You could stuff all sorts of stuff in there. Watch out. And then that was the basic body style. And, 38 is just a little bit bigger. The 36 is kind of a smaller car, more of a pointy nose on the front, and the backs were pretty similar. And the taillights are, of course, a lot huger on the 36. Like you get 36, 35, 34, 33, 32. You got these gorgeous, huge taillights and headlights, which really makes a lot of people like the cars. Makes me like the cars that way. This one had the extra Desoto emblem on the bumper, which is kind of rare. You don't see that too often. And the handles were different. The trunk's a little bit smaller. But then you have that light option. It's so much nicer. And a police officer in Colorado totally tricked this thing out. It was pristine as heck. Perfect. I mean, he did a wonderful job. Sold to my dad. We didn't do nothing to this one. It was just perfect when we got it. And he went through everything. It even came with a car cover. It would go over the hood emblem and everything else without damaging the hood emblem. And you can see just the ridiculous amount of space they had. And every year's got a little bit different. I like the emblem on that one quite a bit. And this is the inside interior he had done. The original interiors were usually mohair, which was what my 37 has in it. This one was done in diamond pattern, really nice, just elite. And yeah, everything in there was just original stock frame, perfect. Had a clock on this dang car, so you could tell what time it was. That was a rarity. And I don't know, pretty much the most of it. The windows, you just pull the sideways here, and they click open, just with click, click. Just a little click frame, which is kind of different. And it just clicks back. So it's one little lever. On this one, the deluxe was the split window. They called it a little nicer. I guess that you could separate ideals instead of, it was just one piece. The one piece was considered a lower option. All original steering wheel. On the front of this, it's really super. It's got all the running lights, and this was like, some idea that you would have turn signals, but they weren't functional. It's like people had the idea, you knew I was going to turn or something. They would run through, I'm sure. And then the breathers, the front breathers on the 36 are just nuts to get air into the motor. That kind of makes it look sharp. And then the breathers on the side panels. And you see how ridiculously large the headlights are on a 36. And of course the Flying Lady. This he just left stock, all stock. And that's how big the air cleaner was, and they only came with a single carb. So my dad's is totally tricked out as 38 and has every option. I don't even locate the horn on this one, but I believe it does have one. But I don't know where it's hid, if he does have one. They were just a straight 6 motor. I think they were 230, 232s or something like that. 232 cubic inch, somewhere close to that. And he has the original sticker on the oil canister. And it was just clean. I mean, he just kept it clean. He did everything and made it perfectly clean. So when we got this thing, it was spotless. It's horrible. It looks like dirt. It was spotless, perfectly spotted. But you could clean it all back up. I mean, it just takes time to polish and do the work. But no, they never had turn signals. Oh, and this is the breather on the front here, on the both of them. You would just have a lever and you pop that up and it comes up about 3 inches or so. And it lets air straight and go right through the car. So you could, have, that was your air conditioner. The chrome wheels and whatnot. So that was the most of them. Gets most of the options on them. Had the fog lights on it. And the breathers. That all went around it. And they had side imaginary turn signals here. And they might have actually worked on this darn car. Those ones there. And they might have been able to wire those other ones, but I'm not quite so sure about it. But these are the two craziest ones because you don't see turn signals on anything most of the time. Mom's was just all original. Completely stock original. Down to the color of the old wires, how they would have them bought back in 1930s. And you can get all these parts. There's a couple distributors over on the East Coast that you can get all sorts of items to replace, corroded lines and corroded wires and corroded connectors. And it's just all original. And they put the distributor, the coil up in the front, which is kind of spooky. They put the coil in there. Ours is all original, everything. Original handles, original interior, original of the core. Had the same wings on the windows where you could just click them up. And just had a clock in it like the other one. I think they even had a radio. That's a little radio right there on this one. On the bar, right underneath the. They had 2 cubby holes. Cubby hole on each side. Of course, the split window, which was a deluxe option. And yeah, just original, perfectly original. And blue, of course. Here's the antenna for the radio, and has DeSoto written on the gas cap in nice cursive DeSoto. The large headlights, the dots. Never did get blue dots. They always talked about getting blue dots, but they never wound up getting them. They said they couldn't find them. By the time I found them for them, they were getting tired of trying to do stuff. The spare tire on it, which is hard to find. All original spare tire, the DeSoto emblem, the real emblem of DeSoto. little cap, and you just would open this up, and you'd get in, and you'd be able to put up air in your hair, and then you'd pop this, and you'd be able to pop it out, which is kind of kooky. You can put air in the spare. And I guess that's what that was for. And then, of course, the rumble seat. Right there, and you just take 2 steps on up and jump in, and you'd be riding in the back of the car outside. You could cruise around, you know, a couple kids back there, whatnot. Yeah. The rumble seats are pretty rare. And convertibles are even rarer, but rumble seats are kind of rare. I like the rumble seat. And they do have rumble seat convertibles, which is really trick. Little rubber pads with Desoto wrote on them. And that's how you get in and out of this guy. Yeah. And those are called artillery wheels, which were the higher class wheels. When they just nicer design, and they'd have all those holes on it. They'd name them artillery wheels. And then of course they'd paint them off with that X. Jewel pinstriping all over them. The polished up, this thing won quite a few awards. When we were going and able to go, and still doing it all. And let's see, they call it Art Deco. All the lines and all the lines and the cowling in the handles. It was called Art Deco. And they're just really nice cars. Fun to play with, fun to take to the shows. Fun to run around in. Behind the seat, they had that like kind of shelf, and that's where you would stuff, you know, your private stuff, you know, like clothing, business briefcases, your groceries, loaf of bread or something, you know, just a quick delivery or whatnot. And they just go on that little shelf. And has a visor. You could roll the visor up and down. Right there. And the gold handle on these, you can turn the handle and it'll lower down the window and it'll roll it down. And you just turn the handle and roll it down. Or you can put the visor up so the sun wouldn't get you. Yeah. Yeah, they put a lot of effort into the cars. Everything was hand built back then, you know, and they just, you know, that's when they really cared about cars. That's when they really gave a darn about cars. Little dome light, click, click. Okay. 35 is like a gangster car. 2-door slant back. That's what they call it. They had 4 doors, but this is only a 2-door slant back. So basically, you have all your room of a 4-door, but just the 2 doors. And just everything. And the older years, 1 year older, the 35 is like classic older. handles to open up the front are just like a push spring instead of a turn handle, which is kind of spooky. And they have 2 push springs, and you do the 2 push springs, you can get up in there. Larger headlights, the just straight fly with the grids, which I kind of like. It was more basic, but it was just kind of neater than heck. And that's a Desoto, a couple Eagles and glasses. Those were like drink glasses, I think. And I can't. I used to know a lot more, so I can't remember that part as well. Then the lines, that's the chrome lines for the 35. Had the artillery wheels, so that was deluxe way back, and that's the year older style artillery with a bigger hole. Just a straight 6, massive horn. All original, no aluminum head, nothing like that. The motor feels bigger in this car, so I don't know if they had a bigger block 6, or because the carburetor, not the carburetor, the fuel pump, he's been having trouble finding a fuel pump because it has a longer throw arm on the fuel pump that goes into the block, and so he's been having trouble getting that because that's what went wrong. The fuel pump went wrong, and he hasn't been able to locate the longer throw arm at any of the places he goes to ask about it. And one guy told him, well, it's the same, so he bought the part. My brother tried putting it on. He says, I can't get it in there, it won't work. And so everything about this car just feels bigger. Even if the motor isn't any bigger, it just feels bigger. But it must be bigger because it has a longer throw arm. So, got to be something going on. And the air cleaner you see, that's a super small air cleaner. Another one had that gigantic, huge air cleaner. And just the different styles and different times they put those on, and who cared for what, or. I'm not sure the other one's better. It probably is, being so much larger. And the brakes were right there. The little reservoir right there you can get to put fluid in your brakes. Itty bitty container. It's kind of like a bullet handle thing, which is really neat. And inside they did it all red interior. I got this from a car dealer guy that goes to all the shows and buys cars and resells them for money. And it just, when it was all cleaned up, it's just cleaner than heck, and just really sharp looker. Red and black's a real popular color. It had the ashtrays in the side so you could smoke in the back. And just a ton of room. I mean, you get in that back seat, it's like just a ton of room. I mean, you could sleep in it. I bet a few people lived in them. There's a lot of room in this one. And the window, just gigantic. I mean, it's starting to look like a hearse. It's just a small hearse, It's just got this humongous window. And they roll up and down. Let's see the handle way over there. And this is older style stuff, so it has the Desoto wrote on the cap, but it's not in that fancy writing. the smaller tail light, just a little tail light on it, just a dinky, but it has DeSoto wrote right on the tail light and the lens, which is spooky awesome. On the top side, so the light is showing up on your license plate. The same here with the fancy emblem, the get in spout and the top spout, and that has the key, so you open this up and turn the key to be able to get in. It's just a little key in there. Boom, boom, boom. Goes a slant back, you know, it just looks like it's a slant back. Just this gigantic fin flying there. And since it is older style, it only has this one light on this one side. And it never came out with another light on the other side. Just wasn't there. So I guess I could always get you for a brake light out on this car. And it's just, you know, old. Up top it has the vinyl top, and boom, just the vinyl top. Boom. And it's just a huge car. So the big headlights and all the room, and you know, the little truck windows and things. It had the roll up in the back where you could roll it up and down, just like that other car. And then for the side cowling, they just did it all the way down. Just let air in that way. And just kind of opened up little holes. And, yeah. That way you can keep your motor cool. The same vent for your air conditioning up front. You pull the handle. And the same pull knob for the fourth gear. And yeah, just the 37. So we went through first one was a 38, 36, another 36, that's a 35, the one we just got done with. So we went 38, 36, 36, 35, and this is 37. And it's got the cowling on the tail lights that come trailing down like you're running down a highway, like 2 lanes, always bitching. Complete new exhaust system all in there. The rib bumper, so they're getting pretty fancy now. Instead of just a sheet of metal, they ribbed it and made it nice and fancy. So the rib bumper is pretty, you know, it's the first year they ever did it, 37. So you actually have a bumper that's got a little metal and strength to it, instead of just a, you know, little piece of metal that's going to bend anytime it gets touched. The DeSoto emblem on the back. Your light for the license plate. And kind of had that metal crest, kind of like the same on your front end on the 36, and then the ton of room in the back. You just, you know, stuff a couple guitars in there, anything you needed. Whatever you carry. Went through, did the underside, inside, cleaned it all, painted it all with the paint, the undercoating paint, and every spot on this. I just spent hours on it after I got it. The exhaust system ran me a bunch. Brand new exhaust system all over it. They did a halfway decent job on the. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Oh, you got a cushion. Yeah, that one's kind of tight. You got to push it in like that. And just the whole body style. The tubes back then, they were just all slanted. That's a mohair interior, all original, exactly as it came. that little handle in the center, you click up, and it's just got a spin handle, and that front window will pop out on the bottom and open up, and it'll open up about 2 inches, and you can just have air flying right underneath of it, right at you. More of a regular kick style side window that you see mostly in the day. All original pedals, all original everything. Handbrake. There's the pull handle for the overdrive, that T, and then that little marble-edged white handle there, kind of like ivory or whatnot, resembling ivory, was the let the air in through the little vent. And that had a heater box over there, big huge heater box on it, and it got quite warm in it. This didn't have anything besides a dome light on it, and nothing for the window. Yeah, I mean the rear, you just, how it is. You can roll it up, you can roll it down, you can do anything. It's just permanent in this style. So it's, you know, it didn't have quite all the options of some of the older cars with the, you know, the neat little effects inside. Got a pure how do you get in here? Oh yeah. First year of the flip style hood. And we just tricked it all out and golded up everything. Dual carburetors, the aluminum head and Edmunds instead of the Spitfire, and what else did we do here? We had pressure gauges to read all the temperatures of how much fluid was going through, so you could tell the fancy wires. I should have just left it original. It ran fine before I left it original. And then I put on all the T-bar carburetors and everything my dad had done, and the aluminum head, and my brother was working on it. He just never could get it right. And it blew the head gasket. So, you know, the bottom end's all fine, but you gotta redo the head and everything else. And my brother probably wasn't mechanicking quite as well as he was in his younger years. He was getting older, about ready to retire. So I bought the little turn signals, and I was gonna get fog lamps. And then of course the ribbed bumper, a lot more strength than the bumper system on these cars than the other cars. But it was just funner and heck to original. When I first got it, it had a plug-in. It came from Montana. So the guy would plug the head in and warm the head up with electricity before he'd start the car. So I'd plug it in and warm it up, and on the cold days, it'd crank right up and go. And they're just fun. I mean, you ain't gonna get around, as fast as modern day cars, but you get around. I'd run it all out down the country roads. Open up, and you'd have just shelves to put whatever you want in shelves here. And there's the spare tire on this one, hid back in here. And the Flying Lady on the 37 was just a bigger piece, more solid, less delicate without the wings, because the wings are super delicate on that 36. And 37 was just a regular solid piece, a real solid piece. And this was mounted on the hood. and it had a circle that goes in here, and that circle went into there, which went to a square like this, and it would connect inside the hood. Well, the piece that was in here came loose, and I never did get this rounded or drilled to put a peg through that, so you'd be able to redo it. So I'd just take this, it was the same size as the peg that came out of this. See, because this material isn't big enough to make the rounded part. And just put this right down the center of that hood. That's how I would open it up once I had a problem with it. And it just slides right in the hole where the other item was. And this hood, when I first got it, you'd turn the lady, and that would open the hood. That way, you'd turn the lady that way. So the lady would go that way, and that would open the hood. It was kind of funny. I always wanted to just put a monster motor in one. And we were going to do it to the 38. That's a 4-door 38 out there. That's where I first got the idea. So I was going to put it in the 38 or this 36. And we got this at Arena. The guy had it, and I think Dad gave like, I don't know, 3 or 5 for it. For this and a motor, and we were gonna fix it all up, but we never got to it. Never got that far. And then you can see the whole window just pops up with that screw. Boom, boom. This had that option. Those ones don't. Maybe the 35 did. The 35 did. My 36 did. 37 did. And that would just open up. Yeah. So we're gonna fix these up when we never really got to them. And we were working on it, but we never got that far on it. That came out of Orland, and I think he gave $5,000 for this one.